not my favorite. Oh my goodness. So I'm sure it doesn't come as a shock to many of you guys that I'm not a big fan of gadgets. When I think of gadgets, I don't think of Spider-Man. I think of Batman or maybe Tony Stark. And I get that Insomniac's calling card is gadgets, which is Sunset Overdrive, Ratchet and Clank, and because they're making a Spider-Man game, well, they want to make it an Insomniac Spider-Man game, hence the gadgets. Now, having said that, I'm going to give it just throw a few ideas for the sequel that could maybe, I don't know, somehow tie this together, gadgets and Spider-Man, in a better, a format. Number one thing they need to do is integrate the gadgets in the game. I mean, I was shocked when I would keep getting gadgets, when it came to the web ball, I was like, oh, this is really cool. But there was never a mission where I needed the gadget, right? When it came to the web mine or the web wire or some of the other, or the concussion blast. Like, there was never a time where there was a mission where it's like, I need to use the concussion blast or I need to use the trip mine or any of them. So I'm like, if they, integrate the gadgets in the game, then it wouldn't come off as, just more of a side thing. They just gimmicky. If it was up to me, I would probably limit it to maybe 3 gadgets tops and just use that available resource or that extra space in the game and focus on combat or web swinging or a variety of other things. Just gadgets, not that big of a deal. We already have suits, right? We already have suit mods. Now you're giving us gadgets. In many cases, the gadgets, they don't add anything extra to the game. In some cases, they actually detract from the game, making the gameplay actually easy. Regardless of what difficulty you put it on, I mean, you have a web ball, then you have the finishers, and then you have, the suit mods. So, like I said, not a big fan of gadgets. I was up front with you guys from the jump. Now, the second way of making this all blend in is a perfect segue from the first, and that is enemy types. What a greater way to integrate gadgets in the game than having certain enemy types that need special gadgets or the gadgets you have to, to defeat them. Say, for example, I don't know, you have a brute. Now, I'll get into combat and whatnot in a separate video, but trust me, there needs to be a little more variety, to the enemy types. That's a spoiler. So let's say, for example, you have a brute, but this time it's an armored brute. And, this is where we're introduced to the concussion blast, where it goes, and we have to blow off his armor in order to attack him, because his armor, protects him from your webs or from your, the damage that you give him from your fists and kicks. Or, for example, let's say, the electric webbing. Some enemy types, I don't know, they're resilient to the electric webbing. So then you have to use the suspension matrix, which floats them in the air. This is a gadget I've never used in my life. I played the game several times. I've never used the suspension matrix. I was just like, never. But let's say that you need to use the suspension matrix in order to get an enemy, because it's the underbelly that it's unarmored, right? It's the underbelly that you have to attack. So there's certain examples where you can use the gadgets and incorporate that with the enemy types that you have. So they're just gadgets to use. The last thing that I was thinking about was diversity when it comes to gadgets. Because hear me out. I know many of you guys are, Lucas, there's tons of diversity when it comes to gadgets. Yeah. But the thing is, all the gadgets are used in combat, right? They're all combat gadgets. We already have enough in our arsenal when it comes to combat, much less, giving us combat gadgets. When you look, for example, let's say Batman. For Batman, you have, the explosive gel that he uses to break walls. In addition to that, you have the bat claw, right, that he uses, to propel himself, fly around the city. But those are also gadgets that can be used in combat. He'll use the bat claw to pull someone over and then bam, clothesline him. Or he'll shoot out the explosive gel and cause it to explode, right? It's a little duality in the function of these weapons. Now, you can't say that with the gadgets we have. All the gadgets is like, well, it's a trip mine. The only thing it's gonna do is it's gonna be used in combat, or in stealth. And I think they need to have a little more diversity. For example, why don't we have the Spider Tracer? That would have been the first thing I would have thought of when it comes to gadgets, right? Spider Tracer. What a great way to incorporate that into the game. Let's say, you're in a boss, but there's a side mission, right? There's a side boss that's escaping or something, or you want to catch up to. You want to defeat this guy, so you throw a Spider Tracer on, let's say, I don't know, Mysterio or Shocker as he's running away. defeat him, you're swinging around, and finally, beep, 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 it beeps up when you come in proximity of the Spider Tracer or something like that. Like, that's something that goes with the character, can be utilized into the game, and it's fun, right? I think there's a fun element. You got a little mini game, probably not a mini game, but something where you throw it and it takes skill to throw it at the person so they don't notice the Spider Tracer. You throw it at their boot or something. I don't know. They can figure it out. Another example would be maybe the Spider Signal. You know the Spider Signal that you have in the comics. It's attached to his belt and it shows his symbol. I think they had it. What was it in Spider-Man Homecoming, where they had a little spider signal. I don't know, maybe it doesn't have to be on his belt, but something, that a little gadget that you throw on the wall, and then it distracts people, it distracts the enemies. And while they're stunned, they're like, oh, Spider-Man's here, that's when you go in and you attack and stealth and whatnot. Something, maybe you can upgrade it, obviously. I don't know what you can upgrade it to, but it's something like that where it's relevant to the character. Another thing I was thinking of were the lenses, right? I was thinking, okay, of all the gadgets that you have, there's going to be some part in the game where you upgrade your lenses. Because that's only really the first gadget that we see, and that's in the intro, right? Where you have all this electricity or these, I don't know what they're called, the circuits in his mask. I'm like, okay, this is obviously, we're going to upgrade his lenses, so maybe we can have, I don't know, night vision. I hate to say eagle vision. I think that's such a trite gameplay mechanic, but they can come up with something where it's like, oh, now I can see this type of enemy. Or let's say in a boss, or certain, boss types, where it's like, yo, you turn on a certain lens, and now you can see where to attack, or where the weaknesses are. Right? I'm just thinking, the lenses, come on now. I want the gadgets I don't want to be so heavily dependent on the gadgets. I don't want to be like, yo, if I use this, it's gonna be easy peasy. I think if it was up to me, once again, I said I would, pull the reins in on the gadgets and focus, give that energy and time to combat, to web swinging, to the story, to the interactivity of the environment. There's so much that they can highlight on because we already have suit mods, and if you're gonna keep suit mods, it's kind of redundant at this point to have suit mods and gadgets, especially as many gadgets as we have. They're extremely powerful. So that would be my 2 cents on that. Anyways, guys, that's the video. Let me know what you guys think. Whether or not you believe Lucas, the gadgets are fine. Leave the gadgets alone. They're fine as they are. Or if you believe, that's not really Spider-Man's thing, right? It's not really his thing, but we'll see what they do in the sequel. Either or, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please feel free to like, share, comment, subscribe. Oh, that fun stuff. Till next time, guys, be amazing. Just gimmicky.